Today, a budget night special. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Welcome to the latest post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. So, of course, tonight is budget night. And we had the pleasure of listening to Josh Frydenberg for over 30 minutes, outlining the budget for 2019-20. And this post is just my initial impressions. I'm sure there will be others adding more detailed commentary later. But I do think there are a few important points to make. So he began by saying that for the first time in 12 years, the federal budget has returned to surplus. And his first budget included billions of dollars for tax cuts, major road upgrades, and healthcare. But actually, it is due to return to surplus in the next financial year and to project small surpluses in subsequent years. So to say the budget is already in surplus is a bit rich, really. And he's also spending big ahead of the election. So yes, this is political and in some regards imitating Labour's policies in places. This is a boots and all approach to try and gain election ground. Reminds me of Howard and Costello. Now, if you look in detail at the budget, net debt is forecast to be $360 billion next financial year. But then the coalition is promising to eliminate it by 2030 if it retains government and if the aggressive assumptions and the no slowdown occurs over that period. But the budget forecasts lower wages growth, and then it jumps back to higher rates later. I wonder why. And the same is true of economic growth, with 2.75% next year and then higher later. Plus a promise of another 1.25 million jobs in the next 5 years, but no details about how or what types of jobs. So he said, the budget is back in the black and Australia is back on track. And he's looking for a $7.1 billion surplus next year, and each year surpluses ahead, reaching as high as $17.8 billion. But the budget recognises a number of risks locally and internationally, and is continuing to underfund the NDIS by $3 billion in each of the next 2 years. And he did specifically say that the residential housing market has cooled, credit growth has eased, and we are yet to see the full impact of flood and drought on the economy. Now, one of the really interesting things was his mantra that all of this magical stuff is going to happen, quote, without increasing taxes. And here, of course, he's trying to differentiate between the current government and Labour policies. The truth is that the budget may go into surplus next year, but predominantly thanks to very high iron ore export prices to China. And this, frankly, was quite lucky and is really explained by supply disruption from other sources lifting prices, plus a higher than expected tax take. He makes the point that Australia has a significant national debt, which is currently costing $18 billion a year. And remember that this is with interest rates ultra low. Now, last year, the coalition had announced plans to reduce income taxes for Australians by $144 billion. And now the Treasurer said the government would deliver more than $150 billion in income tax cuts. And from the 1st of July 2024, taxes will be reduced by 32.5% to 30% for those earning between $45,000 and $200,000. And Frydenberg said taxes will always be lower under the coalition, adding that small businesses would also get tax relief from the 2019 budget. And the coalition is also boosting infrastructure spending by $100 billion over the next 10 years, and the government has matched Labour's commitment to end a freeze on the Medicare rebate for GP visits from the 1st of July as part of a $1.1 billion primary healthcare plan. Now, I don't want to be political here, but there are a number of heroic assumptions, specifically those relating to a sudden hike in wages growth, a sudden return of a stronger gross domestic product without really any justification, and the expectation that the very high commodity prices will continue, particularly iron ore, and that there will be no strong international downturn, nor indeed any significant disruption from the slower housing market, although the budget did recognise that housing was actually slowing. So this is a budget full of optimism, but also full of risks. And frankly, it's rather smoke and mirrors. It seems to me this is really quite far-fetched from the reality that we're in now and how the real economy is likely to play out over the next 2 or 3 years. Now, I do hope that the Treasury and the Treasurer are right, and that the GDP does come roaring back and wages growth does take off and we manage to pay down all of that debt. But I think the risks on the downside are extremely significant. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.